Cheers to those who continue to tune in to the channel. Let's talk heavyweight boxing. Anthony Joshua is supposed to be fighting, so I hear, Kubrat Pulev, June 20th, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, over here in England in North London. He was supposed to fight Pulev a couple of fights ago. Pulev didn't get paid enough, had an injury. Whatever the reason, the fight didn't go ahead, but it looks like it's getting more heavily penciled in now and is on the cusp of being made official. My first takeaway is that is too big a span of time to have not fought again. We know Joshua's last fight against Andy Ruiz was a big deal. It was the big redemption. After his first professional loss, some people even saying he quit, he came back, conducted himself really well, and easily beat Andy Ruiz Jr. Much easier than Joseph Parker did. Okay, he was absolutely massive. He was as fat as the Michelin Man, or Stay Puft Marshmallow, for Americans who probably are more familiar with that reference. But he was massive. It made it easier. It didn't matter. Joshua was on point. He showed he could adapt. The problem was he didn't take any punishment. He was in cruise control for 36 minutes. So why should he be out of the ring then for like over 6 months? It's just too much, isn't it? And if you keep extending it like that, we just lose track of a narrative and we're like, where are these guys we once heard about? But that's how it works. The other slight negative, Pulev. It's going to be difficult to get excited about this one. Pulev doesn't have a very engaging style. Very European. He does have a very good jab, which he used to control Derek Chisora, I think, back in 2016. Quite easily beat him. But he's very upright. He's not a defensive whiz. He's not a particularly big puncher, not really aggressive. Fights economically. And on that point of not being very defensively good, that is, of course, what led to his massive knockout defeat against Vladimir Klitschko back in 2014 or something like that. So Joshua should be expected here now to come into the ring with the fear that Andy Ruiz Jr. should have permanently branded into him, that he has to come in a more trim kind of condition. Let's do away with the 250 and 250 plus pounds, too muscle bound there. Let's keep it in the low 240s, high 230s, where he's able to box and put those new boxing skills that he's learnt into action to get control of things against Pulev and ideally get rid of him in the mid rounds. And the reason why a knockout here is so important is that come June, Anthony Joshua will not have had a knockout or a stoppage for 21 months. The last time he will have stopped somebody will have been September in 2018 against Alexander Povetkin. So we need a reminder of this big punching heavyweight, who is also, as Pauline Malignaggi reminded us in that last stoppage, is a great finisher as well. Deontay Wilder had that little dig against him in his victory against Ruiz in the rematch, saying it was like pity-patty punches. I'm sure they weren't. I'm sure they hurt a lot. But we need that reminder that Joshua is mainly a pulverizing force, and that's one of the main reasons why he's generated so much money and people like to watch him. He's got to start cautiously, of course, but be aggressive as well. Back him up. Pulev is quite open, quite upright, so Joshua should find it quite easy to tee off on him once he gets him uncomfortable. And the other point is that Pulev is, I think, nearly 40 now. So really, the stars are aligned for Joshua to have a good, solid defense at this point in his career. 6 months, too much, but then he should possibly fight Alexander Usyk later this year. And if Usyk is in the top 4 heavyweights, if he follows through with his potential here, you got to remember, Usyk is actually the second oldest after Wilder. So he needs to get a hurry on. So it's in his interest as well to try and get a fight with the big boys. That one will drum up a lot more interest, I feel, because of Usyk, if not just his style, his personality. But it's Pulev first. We've got to deal with it. If we're going to look at the positives, I've seen worse defences that Wilders had in those 10 defences. So let's go along with it. Let's give the very solid contender one last shot at the big time. But a rough prediction here early. I expect Joshua to come in with fear, to come in with new skills, and that assertiveness to take Pulev out about rounds 6 to 7.